This is your girl, the Enchantress, the Good Samaritan out here on these YouTube streets. Coming today because I have a whole lot to say, and IG. My emotions are all over the place. And if you were near me, you probably wouldn't even know it. Because that's just my makeup. I don't do it on purpose. It's just how I am. I remember my mom would tell me stories of how good of a baby I was. That as a newborn, I would coo, and react, but I just would not cry. And so she would have to learn when I needed something from her based on what babies need. And that's been a thread throughout my life. One that has made it difficult for me at times. I have one sister, one older sibling, and we're quite different. Some similarities, but very different. Our makeups, energies, and personalities. And she was always the apple of my eye, but I was not like that for her. So I would spend years as a child seeking to have her receive me. And eventually, when I got old enough, I realized that it was only hurting myself and that I shouldn't ever, even my only sister, shouldn't have to beg her to entreat me properly. So I distanced myself, and it took her decades before she finally came to me and she apologized. And she told me that things just came to me so readily and so easily. And she was just envious because she felt like if anyone should have that talent and ability, that she felt like since she was the oldest, it should have been her. And she hated me for that. There'll be times that she would just look at me, and I know we've all gone through things with our siblings, but I'm just giving you an example so you don't understand. She would just look at me as an adult and just say, I just don't like you. And I would ask her why, what have I done to her? And she would say, I just don't like you. So this morning I'm dealing with some things. I'm reflecting and going over some achievements that I've made over the past few months that I'm happy about. But through all of that, I faced some very low points, all of them lonely, some dark, and I reflected on who was there for me, who helped me come out of that, who looked at my scenario and heard my request and said, you know what? I have what it takes to help you. You know what? You've been there for me. I'm going to help you. Because anyone that I asked help from, I had already given to them over and beyond for decades. So with equal and fair balance, there was really no reason to say no because I had already given over and beyond. But anyway, I was reflecting over these times and how I've pulled myself up to this point and had to lose some things and let some things go as a result of requesting help from others, and they just refused to. And I questioned why. Why would somebody look at me who's been there for them? And at the time that I gave, they displayed how much they valued my help, could look at me and hear me ask for something that they had, and they had more than enough of to share with me, and they refused to because I don't act the way they want me to, or I act too much of a certain way, or I don't do and say what they want me to do. Why is that my life journey? What responsibility do I have in that? I remember I had left my husband and I had small children, and it was tough financially and emotionally. And my only sister, who she had 2 children, a husband, a very good job, and a home. And my mother moved in with her to help my sister. And I noted it, but it wasn't something I wanted to request. But when I went to my mom and I asked her for help, this was her response. She was like, "Oh, you're going to always be okay. I don't ever have to worry about you." She said, "But your sister, that's another story." She said, "I have to help her." And I remember how crushed my feelings were, to have someone deny me help because they felt that I was going to be okay. And I had met this before with others. I was in a relationship with a guy who was sadistic, and he would do things, and he did something that really broke my heart, and it left me stuck out. And sometime afterwards, I was able to communicate with him about that and how it affected me. And that I told him that, I wasn't one to grovel or to beg. And he's like, no, you're not. He said, "You don't ever beg for anything." I said, "But you crushed me." And this was his response. He was like, "Well, if you didn't walk around like you so strong and powerful, maybe I wouldn't have done what I did." And I just sat there and I looked at him, and I was able to just see the type of entity that he was. And how difficult in life it is for people like us when we give and give and give because we have so abundantly. But we know that with anything, there has to be a fair balance. So that means that we're going to need that when we go to people that we've already helped and we care for and we're involved with, that these people deny us because of how we are. "Oh, you'll be okay." "Oh, well, you act like you all powerful." But I came and I asked you for help. I asked you for need. And so I've accomplished some wonderful things over the last few months. And I really needed help. I really needed help getting out of that scenario. And not one person actively helped me and said, "You know what? I'm going to join up with you and I'm going to actively help you get out of this." So I had to figure it out myself. And so now I'm reflecting on that, reflecting on these scenarios and how it affects me, how I feel, how it won't leave my thoughts on this morning. And I went back to when I was a teenager, when I realized that people, because of how they viewed me, that they felt compelled, even though I had helped them 1,000 times. And this is not everybody, but key figures in my life. Some people actually are compassionate. I'm not denying that. But I'm reflecting on these past few months when I really needed someone to come in and say, "Look, I value your life existence enough that I don't know how, but I'm going to sit and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to be willing to help you with what I have, to share what I have to help you get out of this." But yeah, when I was a teenager, because that would happen so often, even from my own mother, she just understood in her mind, her heart, that she felt like I'd always be okay. So sometimes she would choose to help my sister and not me. And I would have to figure it out for myself. And most times I did. It's tough, guys. So in all of that, because it was so emotional, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of being deserted. I'm tired of being told, "Oh, you'll be okay." So what I would do was I would mimic the way people who were really in need would ask people, and I would pretend and ask the way that they did. And then after a while, it just didn't sit well with me because that just wasn't me. and I was pretending. So I was like, you know what? I made a vow. I'm gonna just be myself. I'm gonna be giving, and when it's time for me to ask for help, I'm just gonna ask for it the way that I do, because I don't know how to ask for anything other than the way that I do. I've even had my own son tell me, you need to work on your asking skills. And I'm like, excuse me? He said, yeah, your delivery and how you ask. And I'm sitting there, I'm taking in what he's saying. And I'm like, so what is wrong with my delivery? And he could never really break it down. And the bottom line is, when I ask for something, I'm not coming any way but straight. I'm not going to try to butter you up. I'm not going to try to play into your emotions. I'm going to say, look, I have a need. This is what my need is. You know, I've helped you before. We made exchanges before, and I really need your help. Can you help me? And it just always seems to, people aren't satisfied with that. They want me to do something different, and I don't know how to do anything different other than ask straight. Because asking the other way wouldn't be me. So basically what is happening is, people aren't accepting me for who I am. And it's difficult for them when I need something to assist, because they have this preconceived notion. And respond the way that they do. It's disheartening. I just wanted to come and talk about that. I feel for people like myself. And it infuriates me when I see people who you know are scamming, and people just give and give and give. I know it's their prerogative and it's their choice, but over time, seeing it over and over again, it gets to be aggravating.